Perfect. Start stating. So, you buy a loan. You buy a car and you buy a loan. Two purchases at the same time. What do you really need to think of? John, you buy a car and you buy a loan. What do you really need to think of? Pay off the loan, which means you want to figure out how much more you have to pay for the car because you don't have the money for the car and you have to buy the loan. And in order to do that, you need to make some calculations. Let's go on and see what we have to do. In chapter 2, we know the time value of money. And we know that if we have to get a loan, and if we have to buy a car, when you have to buy a car, you need to pay X amount of money to have a car. And after you have a car, what is happening to the value of the car? It's depreciating. So one thing that I want you to think of is if you have an asset, the asset has a value at a given time. After that, as time is going on, two things are happening. One thing is the value of the asset increases. So if the value of the asset increases, it is appreciating. Or the value of the asset declines. So the value is depreciating. How many of you are business management? Those of you who are business management, you took a class in business methods, business 210. In the business 210, we go through a detailed process of evaluating the different methods that we have for depreciation. Those of you who are not business management, you don't have to take that class. You can go to this book and you can go through the methods of depreciation that we review in this book. If you forget it and you don't have a book, you go on to any way in the internet and you find out about depreciation. Depreciation means that the value of the asset declines. Like what? Let's say Bogdan took algebra when he was in high school. That's not the case. I'm using him as an example. If I ask him to solve something right now and he does not know how to do it, that means that whatever he learned in high school in algebra, right now cannot be used. He wastes his time, he wastes his money. He is depreciating that particular knowledge. If he knows how to do it, then he gets value out of it. We go on to another example. We buy a car. The value of the car, you told me that is depreciating, is losing value throughout time. Why and how is my question.
Why is it depreciating?
Yeah. You cannot drink coffee in the class. Right? You cannot spill things on the keyboard. Why the value of the car goes down?
You're adding mileage to it?
Good. One thing is you add mileage to it. Is this the only factor?
Sometimes you might have to repair it in case it is right.
Sometimes you have to repair it.
Some of the parts in the car aren't as efficient as if they were.
Correct. Any other reason that the value is changing? Yeah.
Newer models are being released.
Newer models are there. Anything else? When you drive it, you said it before, you put mileage to that. Anything else?
There's less demand for that car.
There is less demand for that car.
You have to put money into insurance.
You have to put money to insurance. Time is passing. And as time is passing, you may put more or you may put less mileage. You may keep the car in a really good conditions. The value usually depreciates. I had one student that had a very old car, older than her age. Her husband was a mechanic. They were keeping that car in perfect conditions. After several years, that car became a historic car. The value of the car from that point and after start to appreciate. But that's an exception. The value of the car appreciated because the car was very old, in great conditions, and very rare. She could be able to sell it in much higher price than what the car had when it was purchased the first time. But that's not usually the case. What's usually the case? You take a car and we either take care of it or don't take care of it. Everything you said is applicable. If the car has accidents and we fix it, the car value goes down. If the car has a lot of mileage, the value goes down. The car of the same year does not have, and the same model does not have the same price. Depends upon how we keep the car and depends upon how many miles we have on that car. And the question I have is, what is the best choice for you to buy a new car or buy a used car? Or I'll give the question completely different. Bogdan is in business. And in his business, he buys new cars and he is renting them. After some period of time, let's say after a year, he sells these rented cars. What would you like to do? Or what is the best deal for you, to buy a new car or go on and buy a car from Bogdan that he sells cars that they were used for a year? And they put some mileage, something like $30,000 to $40,000. What is better, to get a new car or get a used car? That's one question. This question is related to the problem of depreciation. And assets usually change their value. Either they decrease the value or increase the value. And when they decrease the value, then the question is, in that particular period, how fast that value is declining. And those of you who are liberal arts or business administration, you have to take a class in math that is called calculus, Math 301. There you learn something that is important. You learn what is the rate of change, or in other words, you learn what is a derivative. And the derivative tells you or allows you to calculate how fast things are changing. How fast things are changing depends upon where they're going. They're going up or they go down. Then you learn another concept, the second derivative. The second derivative tells you if the concept is losing value, negative, or the concept is gaining value. How much? The first derivative is telling you. Is everything clear? So you have really to evaluate an asset as the asset changes its value. And what we do here is we use different techniques to make this evaluation. Those of you who are in business management and you have to take business 210, you learn 3 techniques of depreciation. These are some of the standard techniques that we use, but these are not always what actually happens when the value changes. And if you go on and you take more classes in math, you can be able to see more accurately what is the value of the asset that you have. But also, there is something else. And what else is happening is that the value of an asset increases. That's an appreciation. which means that if you learn something and you use it, you know it better and better. The more I teach finance, and the better students I have, and more questions they ask, or when the students make a lot of mistakes and I look at the mistakes, the more I learn how to deliver this particular concept to you. My understanding of the subject is increasing as I want to transmit that understanding to you. If I buy a house, the value of the house may increase, or the value of the house may decrease. For example, on Wednesday, I didn't came here, right? My buddy came to give you the video that we taped the previous day. Wednesday morning, I had flood in the house. There is a significant damage done. I have a lot of work to do. And I was talking with my daughter. She said, the damage was done at the right time, because if we want to sell the house later on, all these additional repairs would help the value of the house to go high. And it gives me an opportunity to clean up everything, and things that I didn't need it, and they were accumulated, and eventually they had to go, they will go now. The values are appreciating. Besides the general appreciation of the values, we have when things change in price. Example, when I talk to old people about moving to New York, they tell me, yeah, you remember when the metro was 5 cents? And I don't remember that. But I remember when the metro ride was 25 cents. And now the metro ride is $2.75, which means the same value is increasing in terms of the price. We call that process, which is appreciation, an inflationary process. And we need to count things for inflation. And that's extremely important, because the price of a product has different value, and we call that value nominal value versus a real value. What is real value? Real value is when we evaluate something without taking into account that inflation. The real value is that I will go to the station here, Park Place, take metro, and go to Penn Station. It doesn't matter if I do it now or if I will do it 20 years from now, if I did it 20 years before. The real value is the same. But the nominal value, what I have to pay, is different. And here I have to make an evaluation. If the nominal value changes, then I have to see how that affects me. And I go to my friend here who studies economics. And she will say, Professor, that's true, but when you started working at BMCC, you are not making exactly the same salary that you are making right now. And this week, we are going to vote for a new contract. And the new contract will give me a salary increase. Well, I had years that I didn't have a salary increase. And the salary is going to go up. And as the salary is going to go up, I can be able to afford and pay higher price for the metro. But if the salary was staying the same and the prices were going up, then I wouldn't be able to afford that. The trend that usually evaluates what is happening when all prices are going up is called inflation. Is inflation a good thing or not? It could be good, or it could be bad. Who has an advantage from the inflationary process?
Business companies,
Yes.
somebody that took out a loan at a lower interest rate.
Good. That's one case. Anyone else? If your income increases faster than the price increase, then you are better off. If your income increases slower than the price increase, then you are not better off, you're worse off. Therefore, the important thing is what is happening with the price stability. And we have one institution in the United States that is charged as its own job to have mainly two tasks, right, Dito?
Yes.
What is this? Loud so they can tape you from here. Or come up here and talk. And that institution gives a competition to all schools and all students. And last week, we went to that institution, come back so they can take your picture really nice from that part. Come over here next to me so you can see your face here. And that institution is called the Federal Reserve. And the Federal Reserve is an institution all over the United States. It has many parts. One of its parts is here in New York. The New York Fed has some different responsibilities than the other Feds. And the New York Fed is responsible to intervene and interfere to the financial markets. And every day, there are people working around the clock, buying and selling financial institutions all over the world, but particularly in the US markets. And that institution has two tasks, which are?
Promoting maximum employment and the price stability.
Price stability means what?
Meaning avoid inflation.
How much is the price stability, or how much is the normal expectation of price changes?
So the target actually of the Fed
Yeah?
about the inflation is 2%.
Correct. 2%. 2% of what?
2% of the core.
Hmm?
The core.
2% of what?
What do you mean?
How do you measure inflation?
When you work on the store. The CPI.
We have different measures of inflation. Consumer price index is one measure. Producer price index is another measure. Consumer price index is what? I'm listening. What is consumer price index?
Don't know.
Hmm? You don't know.
Don't know what you mean.
And he is part of our competing team. And our competing team did quite well. And our competing team was selected to go to the finals. So we can either get the first prize, second prize, or third prize. And I want to get which prize?
The first one.
The first prize. And that's why I'm putting him here. Consumer price index is an index, which means what? A statistical calculation that from many things we can measure what is happening with prices. What kind of prices? Those that the consumer is facing. That's the difference between the consumer price index and the producer price index. The producer price index is telling me what is happening with prices that producers, businessmen, industrialists are facing. Consumer price index is what is happening with prices that consumers are facing. Both of them are indices. What is an index? You have a basket, and in this basket you put all kind of commodities that you have as a consumer or as a producer. So what do you have? One important thing is, did you have a breakfast today? Lunch yesterday? Dinner? One important thing is what is happening with food. Why it's important? No, because you cannot survive if you cannot eat. It's an essential. Another important thing is energy. Energy with Y. And energy and food is something that are part of what consumers have, and this is the core aspect of that price index. And it's telling me what is going on with prices. The prices are changing. Do they change the same way or not? I went to put gas in my car during the weekend, and I was really happy. But last time that I put gas, I had to pay $2.70 something. This time I put gas, I have to pay, and per gallon it was $2.50 something. Per gallon, the price dropped down 20 cents. Is this what I paid? Or not? Is this what I pay or not?
No, because it's not the real value.
Is this what I pay or not? Daisy, did I pay the price that they sell? What did I pay? More or less? No, I didn't pay more. If I was paying more, I would not be teaching finance. How would I pay more? I would go on to the gas station that has the most expensive price. Do you have a cell phone?
Yes.
You go on and you check for prices. And you go on to the gas station that gives you the highest price or the lowest price.
Lowest.
In other words, I would go to Mobil, Exxon, or any other place. I go on and I do my checking before. And I want to go to the gas station that gives me good gas at a lower price. Is this the only thing I do?
No.
What else do I do? I go on and I buy my groceries. I buy food. From where?
Supermarket?
Which supermarket?
Whole Foods.
Yeah. Costco?
You go to Whole Foods because you are rich and you do not get any benefits. And I go either to Costco, and I have a special visa for Costco that if I go to Costco and I use that visa, I get money back for anything that I have. And if I don't go to Costco, I go to Stop and Shop, and anything that I get in Stop and Shop, I get points. And with these points, I have a discount for the gas that I put. And anytime I put gas that I pay 10, 20, or 30 cents less per gallon, up to the 20 gallons for the gas that I put in my car. I said something important. What did I say?
So you pay less.
Do you have a car that takes 20 gallons tank? How much is your tank for the car? Is it 20 gallons or not? And I get you here that you're not ready for life. Which means even if you get A in finance, you get F in life finance. And I don't want you to get F in life finance, I want you to get A in life finance, even if you get C in the class finance. Do you have a car
No.
that has capacity for 20 gallons? If I go on with my coupon and I put my coupon, I would not pay right now $2.59 or $2.53. I will pay $2.39, 20 cents less. And I will pay that for 20 gallons. Do I buy 20 gallons anytime I get gas?
Little more than that.
I go on with my car. I go with my car when it's empty. Do I put 20 gallons? I start pouring gas. And when it goes to, let's say, 13 gallons, the car is full. Do I lose the rest of the money? Yes or no, and what do I do? I have plastic containers that they take each one 5 gallons, and I get the rest of the gas in the plastic containers. In other ways, I'm utilizing the decrease of the price. Why do I do it? Because I'm getting paid in dollars, and my paycheck does not change from a month to a month. As a result, I want whatever I go on and I buy to pay attention what I buy, at what price, and pay less. Why? Because I want to fight inflation. And as I fight inflation, I increase my capacity to buy things there. Clear? So we have mainly two different measurements for inflation. When you go to the Fed competition next month, do they use any of this or not?
We use a call headline. We use call and then headlines. So call
So
is-
what do you use for inflation at the Fed?
we use call.
Hmm?
Call.
No, you don't use core. What index do you use?
What do you mean by index?
Do you use consumer price index?
No, we
Or
use consumer
produce-
price. This is call.
Chelsea, can you check what you use for inflation at the Fed? This weekend I learned something new that you know it. I get it from you guys. How to use Siri. You go to Siri and you can say to my cell phone, "Hi Siri, how are you? What's the difference between consumer price index and producer price index? What is the Federal Reserve is using to measure inflation?" Can you get an answer? Yes or no?
You can.
What is the measurement that you have for the Federal Reserve?
Headlines and call.
What is the measurement that you have for the Federal Reserve if you want to think about inflation? Or if you want to measure what is happening with the increase of price?
Interest rate.
The Fed does not want to have more than 2% price increase. Wants the price increase to be around the 2%, not lower, not higher. That's the target. The Fed said that wants to have full employment. When you want to have full employment, what do you mean? You have 100 people working here.
Okay.
You want all these 100 people to work or not? You have 100 people here. When you want to have full employment, how many out of these 100 should be working to have full employment? Or what is the normal rate of unemployment? What is the natural rate of unemployment?
Should be 4%.
Hmm? What?
Should be 4%.
4%. So if 98 people out of the 100 are working, he is going to be happy. And more or less, that's the situation that we have now in the United States. Or in other words, my friends that are in construction, in business, in anything, that they want to hire people, they can't find easy people to do their job. But there are some people in between that are moving from one job to the other. Or they are hired to do the job and they cannot be able to do. And because I found someone who is going to do the job better than someone that I have and doesn't do the job that good, today I'm going to fire one person and I'm going to hire someone else. That is in transition. That's the natural unemployment. The natural unemployment is 4%, which means the employment is 96%. And we go on to inflation. Kelsey, did you find what's the inflation measurement for the Fed? Hmm? No, you failed. The rest of you, you have a cell phone in front of you, you have a computer in front of you. I don't want you to use it, I want you to know it. What is it?
What do you mean by 2?
2% is the
Interest rate.
target for inflation. You don't want the inflation to be too high, but you don't want to be too low. and which is the measurement that we use at the Fed? Did you find it? No, he said core inflation. What is core inflation? Core inflation is when you have the food and the energy together. What is the index that the Fed is using? Consumer what?
Consumer confidence.
Expenditures, price index.
Say it again.
Consumption expenditures price index, or the PCE.
PCE is the measurement that the Fed is using. The Fed is not using consumer price index, does not use producer price index. What the Fed is using? Personal consumption expenditures, which means what I want to know from him by tonight. What is the difference between personal consumption expenditures and consumer price index? And why the Fed prefers one versus the other? And is anything that makes it different? And we want to use this one versus the other. So what do I want to say? I want to say what is happening with the price changes. And I want you to be able to learn how to calculate all these things as a percent change. So what do I want you to do? Things change. And I want to find out what is the change. And I want you to have a homework for Wednesday. And I want you to go onto the Wall Street Journal and find out graphs. I'm not going to tell you which one, and I don't want you to do it right now, but as soon as you come in class on Wednesday, I'm going to ask you to do it. How you can see the graphs in the Wall Street Journal that they give you changes. And I'll give you a hint. The graphs that you have there, okay, you can help me clean up that stuff. The graphs that you have are graphs that you can make with your Excel. And if you go to your Excel, I'll go on and have a new Excel. Stay there because I want you to give me some information. I want to see what is happening with the change. No, don't put it down because you're going to write on that. And I go on to my computer and I want to go and find out something that is interesting. What do I have? Firefox. I don't want Firefox. And I want to use Google Public Data Inflation. Google Public Data. I want to go on and find out what is happening with my Google Public Data. I get my public data and I want to see different things here. I'll go to unemployment. And as I see unemployment, I want to see unemployment in New York. And as I want to see unemployment in New York, I can see cities and towns, counties and metropolitan areas. Which one do I care the most? I'll care for metropolitan areas, and I get several metropolitan areas of New York. Where are you located? In Albany, in Binghamton, or in New York? So you are here. And as you are here, you want to have this information, and you want to see what you want to have. You select unemployment, workforce, unemployment rate, or anything. And I selected the unemployment rate. And I see now the unemployment rate in New York. In New York metropolitan area, which means where you are. This is what you want to see. What do you see? If it's here, means that there is no unemployment rate at all. The rate goes down month after month. The current case is what? You go on and you see what is happening. Low over all the period or not? When was better off?
In the 1950s.
What is this one? 57, I was born. 55.
That was
Before I was born, few years, the situation was even better. But now, from that time till the present, is almost lowest unemployment. The other good period was before the 70s. And from the 70s to today, we have the lowest unemployment in New York metropolitan area. This is what this graph is telling me, right? I want you to be able to know how to calculate this type of numbers. And in order to calculate the rate, I want you to go on and see how you will do it in Excel. If in Excel you have two periods, the first period and the second period. And I want to know how I put the second period. And I don't want to see in your exams writing 2 for the second period. And I want that to be information. I will take it and I will have it for a monthly period. And that would be my first year. I merge that, and this is my first year. I go on and I put 1 year, 12 months. And I take it and I go on to the second year. Again, what do I need to do? I go to the previous period and add 1. And I take this and I bring it to the third year in automatic way. I have information and I want to see what is going on. If I have a number, unemployment is 4.3%. And the unemployment becomes 3.9%. And I want to see what is happening between these 2 months. How do I calculate the rate of change? Dito. What do I put here? I want you to put your math information. Here is the part, and I want you to do. What do you have to do? Don't go to Ivory Coast. Stay here.
I just want to give this a shot.
Stay here for a minute. I didn't say go there. Stay for at the corner. Look at what Dido did. And I want Dido to explain what did he do. He did 2 things. He had a subtraction and he had a division. And I want to know why he had a subtraction and why did he have a division. And I want next to that to put the real plain English information. Okay, this is what you have to do. Go outside, come back. Tito, I'm listening.
So to know basically the increase or how much the unemployment rate grow or decrease the next month, so we need to do the difference between the unemployment rate between those months divided by the unemployment rate of the last month.
In other words, you make comparisons, and you make two different type of comparisons. The first comparison is absolute comparison. What is an absolute comparison? You compare in absolute terms two things by subtraction. The unemployment rate from one month to the other month changes. How much? We take the previous or not. Did I do whatever he wrote?
No.
Bogdan is right. We don't take the previous. We take the second period. And from that we subtract what was before. You know the numbers. If the numbers go down, the number here must be negative. If the numbers are going up, the number here must be positive. What do I have? I have 0.4 of a percentage point going down. I know how much it goes down. What is that? That is the absolute change from what I have today to what I had before. But I want that to be compared to what it was before. And I will take this part and I will compare it with what it was before. And that part here is what number? That part here is what number? And that's my question for you that I want you to be able to tell me tomorrow. This goes down. This goes down by that percentage. And what is happening if I have things to change? Clear? So why do I bother with all that stuff? Because in the previous week, I dealt with loans. And now if I deal with loans, I have to make decisions. And the decisions are related to one thing: what is happening to the value that I have to pay? And what is happening with the value of the asset that I have? And if you go on, yeah?
I just have a question. Does this have to
Can you speak louder?
Does this have to deal with the nominal and the real value?
Dito, can you give an answer?
What do you mean by nominal and real value?
Because when the professor was talking, was also talking about two different values of something. It can be a price or something else. And he talked about the fact that the real value is the value of something which is not affected by the inflation or this thing. And the nominal one is the one affected by the inflation. So when you compute this, I just want to know if like the two different value that we have here is about the nominal and the real value.
This is applied to either nominal or real.
Okay, I don't want to go further into that, since I have two people who are doing economics, and two that are liberal arts, and the rest of you can study business. So I want to see what you would learn on your own, and what you will tell me Wednesday. Nominal value and real value. And I said, I want you to learn how to study on your own. I want you to make mistakes. I want you to know what is your mistake and how you can correct your mistake. Why did I put Dito here? Because I wanted to know when he's talking about inflation in 3 weeks that he will go for a competition, is he going to know that there is a difference between consumer price index, producer price index, or personal consumption expenditures? And what is the difference between real values and nominal values? And how we will go and do that part. What do I want you to explore? One thing I want you to explore is go to Google Public Data. Google Public Data gives you plenty of data, and you can make all kind of graphs. And you can be able to make comparisons with these graphs. For example, if I want to see what is happening with unemployment in metropolitan areas of New York, and I would like to look at what is happening with Albany and what is happening in New York. Not available data in Rochester. I don't want in Rochester, I want in New York. And I need to have it done. I cannot do it, I need to sign up. I can sign up. So my computer will give me access. It's invalid request. I have to know how to go on and do it. I need why I have something done here. I need to go and be able to have it done. Other things is, I look at the value of oil. I went into Yahoo Finance and I see what's happening with the value of oil, crude oil, and I see how it's going on. And there are two important points. One is price in dollars, and then is a percentage of what is happening. So how can you read the information that we have here, Dito? That says that the market opened at 9:51. And what happened when the market opened?
People start buying and selling.
The information is red or it's green.
Green.
If it's green means what?
It went up.
The price went up. The price went up from what? The price went up from what?
56.
From this price, it went up 8 cents. As it goes up 8 cents from $56.74, then the price is going up by 14 points out of 1 percentage point. And I want you to be able to calculate it. We go to his question. What price is this? Is this a nominal price or this is a real price? This is a nominal price. What is a nominal price? The price that we pay every time. What is a real price? The prices are changing. If I want to make all the prices in terms of what the price was in the 1st of January of this year, then all the prices would be in terms of the same particular period of time. And I had to deflate or inflate these prices, and that would be a real price. And I want to understand what is going on. I use graphs that are ready-made. As I use the graphs that are ready-made today, I want to understand what the graphs are. On Wednesday, I'm going to make my own graphs. Because when I make my own graphs, I want to see what's happening. What do I have today? Today I see what happened every day. Today. I go on and I change it for the last 5 days, for the last month, for the last 6 months. What happened for the last 6 months? I compare automatically today's price to the price of the beginning of the period. In 6 months periods, the price goes down. In 1 month period, the price goes up. How do I see it? Because it's different from the first of the year. Year to today, from January 1st to what is happening today. The price went up. For 1 year period, for the last 12 months, the price went down. For the last 5 years, the price went down. For the maximum period that we have in our database, the price went down. And this is what I have here in my summary. I click at my chart. As I click in my chart, I can go on and see different type of information. What do I have? I have information in my Yahoo Finance. I had information in Google Public Data. I have information in Google Public Data. What information? I go on and I clear and I get all type of information that I would like to have in that particular case, my public data. Who is giving me information about inflation and about prices and about gross domestic product? Where do I get that information? These are different agencies. I go on. Do you have access to Wall Street Journal? As we have the Wall Street Journal, I need to have full access. I'm having the full access here, and I go on to the markets. And as I go on to the markets, I want to find information about inflation. I will search and find inflation.
It's not.
And I get all that part. I want to know how I will get information in graphs. What do I do? Ditto. I look at my data. As I look at my data, I can get different information that I have here. Can I get information about inflation? Where is it and how I will go on find out? Consumer Price Index. Consumer Price Index for what? For Greece, for the United States,
For the US.
for the US, for Thailand, for whatever you want the Consumer Price Index. You get the Consumer Price Index. It tells you real return for ETF. What is it? You don't get it from the book. This is what you have here. Consumer Price Index. For what? For gas, industrials, healthcare, financials. What is happening with the prices? Prices are changing the same all over the place or not? Where the prices are changing the most? Where prices are changing the most?
Top.
Where prices are changing the least?
Bottom.
And that's when you have a distribution in terms of the allocation. Then you go on through the periods of the time. When do we have the greatest change of prices? You have it here. And I want you to explore what would you like to do. And you can go and you compare. The prices are changing. The Dow Jones Industrial is changing. And as you have two different changes. Dow Jones Industrial tells you what's happening with the stock market when you look at particular part, and then you see what is happening with the other case for different time periods. For the last year or for the last 3 years. And this is telling you something interesting. And I want you to understand what you get ready. So what do you get ready? You get that something for the last 3 years changed. What do we have here? The Dow Jones Industrial Average. Or in other words, what is happening with the stock market? What do we have here? What's happening with prices? And what do you conclude? The prices don't change that much, but the stocks are increasing much faster for the last 3 years. What do I want to do for the last year? For the last year, what is happening? There is a period that the market declines, and that was December, January. The market declined less than the change of the prices. The market increased. Another period, the market had change equal to the price change. I want you to compare these two graphs. The previous graph and this graph. Do they have anything in common? I'm looking at it and I go and say it. 3 years, 1 year. Do they have anything in common? I go from year to today. Do they have anything in common? I go for the last 3 months. Do they have anything in common? Ditto.
No.
Yes, they do. The way that the graph is given to you, it starts in percentage change in such a way that they all start if they were equal. And that's the standard way that we get comparisons. How do we get comparisons? As if we're equal. And Dido substitutes me anytime I cannot be able to do things. Clear? Good. Come over, my buddy. Are we equal?
No. Is this a politically correct question?
Are we equal? Whenever we make the comparison, we assume if we are equal. Are we equal? No, he's younger than my son. What does this mean? This means that I have 40 years experience more than he does. He has experience for 4 months, I have experience for 4 years. What's the difference? 1 0, right? One significant 0. But this is what I don't want to see. When I put the graph like this, I don't want to see this difference. I start if we are at the same level. But as I don't want to see this difference, I make the comparison assuming that things are equal, and I want to see how things change from that point on. What do I want you to be able to look at? There is no textbook that gives you how to make a graph like this. And I review them all. Recently, I reviewed another text that they want me to use from another corporation. There is no text that gives you this particular graph. Whenever you go to your text from now on, you see things calculated as percent changes. And I want you to see how you will make that graph on your own, particularly if you plan to be in business and you want to focus on comparisons. And all of you would like to compare. When you want to compare, you want to say, do we have anything that makes us substantially different and we start from different points, or we start from the same point? And if we want to indicate that we start from the same point, what do we want to hide? The difference. What do we want to focus? How these two are compared. If I want not to hide the difference, but to indicate the difference, that I'm starting from here and you're starting from there, or vice versa, how I will make the graphs. And what is the main idea of the graph? Dito told you. The main idea of the graph is what you would do with a percent change. What is a percent change? Percent change is a complete comparison. What do I have here? Changes of percentages. I'm going to go on and make another percent change. The price of a stock is $96. The price of a stock is $96. Made the comparison different. $96. This should be formatted as dollars. I do not hesitate to make mistake. Now the price is $96. Now the price is $105. What is happening? The nominal comparison is on the same level of measurement that we have. The price went up by $9. The price went down by a given percentage. But after the nominal comparison, why we call it nominal? Because we keep the same measurement here. Then the change is relative. Is not in dollars, is in clear value. What do we have here? $9 went up. From what? From the base. The base is changing, $96. What has happened? It went up in relative terms. Relative terms is 9.38 percent points. All these are not only in our book, but in any of the books that I have seen, are not all of that stuff. And I want now to start putting things from reality. I know that I passed my time, but I also know that several of you came late. So I take back your time from beginning. What do I want you to be able to do? I was thinking about loans. And I'm going back into loans, but I want to start calculating. And I want to calculate what is the value of the asset that I wanted to buy, and I didn't buy it, but I bought a loan to finance that particular asset. And from that point, I want to see how things change. That's why I want to focus on changing in values. What is the change in values? Change in values is when the values go up and the values go down. Inflation, if the values are going up. Deflation, if the values are going down. Appreciation, if the value of the asset is going up. Depreciation, if the value of the asset is going down. Why do you need to be bothered about it? I went and I talked with TA Craft people. These are the guys that they manage my money for retirement. and I asked a basic question. If I retired in 10 years and I will get that much money from them, do they count the fact that the prices would be different then than what they are now? Because all the prices 10 years from now would not be at the same level. They're going to be different. And the answer is, Professor, what do you teach? And the honest answer is, no, we didn't count for inflation. What did you teach? Finance. Hey, you can count it on your own. And you have to count it on your own. And we move on to loans for chapter 5 now, that I want you to go on and review, because we need to put some realistic terms in this particular case. Clear? Good.